Hello YouTube, I am Lightly Salted and welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the continuing saga of U-96. Once again we are playing U-Boat, and this will be the first in our continuing series after the tutorial aspect. If you're new to the channel, feel free to take a look at the videos shown on the screen to the top right. If you're new to U-Boat in general, feel free to rifle through them, pick up some tips and tricks on getting started. And with all that said, let's jump into it. We'll be heading off to Sector DH, traveling 2,000 kilometers inside the square, and we'll be hoping to sink at least 4,000 tons of enemy freighters. Go ahead and pilot ourselves out of the harbor. To save on fuel, we'll ensure we've got both our engineer and navigator with as much help as they can handle. And Mr. Oldorp, all ahead 4. Mr. Osterman, we will not require your services until we're farther at sea. And Skipper, now that you've waved goodbye to everyone on the dock, let's get your head down. Alright folks, feel free to kick back and relax while I do the driving, and I'll see you in Sector DH. Alright folks, we were trying to exit Sector BF to get out of the Bay of Biscay, and we've run across 2 enemy freighters. We'll be altering course to intercept, and diving the boat. With any luck, they have not yet spotted us. As you can see, I'm setting up to get just ahead of the convoy, and we'll turn in to be at a 90-degree angle to take our shots. Skipper, what are we looking at? Alright, we appear to have an Empire class, and something new, something we haven't seen previously. Go ahead and throw in a pause to make identification a little easier. Alright, we'll go ahead and lock on to this larger freighter. Identification. Liberty is close, however I'm counting 5 masts aboard. Liberty is not our guy. C3 seems to be a match. We'll go ahead and recognize. And she is armed. I see either 50 cals or cannons in the front, and what appears to be cannons in the rear. Very reminiscent of a resupply ship. As for our Empire, she appears to be an Empire tower due to the transmission tower amidships. Recognized. Alright. By my estimations, quick and dirty as they may be, these ships are approximately 680 meters apart. That will be useful for trying to get our torpedo shots to land close together, so as not to alarm the other ship. Okay, this shot is going to be a little tricky, as the Empire appears to be keeping almost abreast of the C3. So trying to tag the C3 first may prove difficult if our Empire gets in the way of our first volley. I'm going to go ahead and begin measurements on getting those torps to land close together. 680 meters. As before in the tutorial series, I will wait until my first volley has passed this line before I launch my second volley at the Empire. Alright, C3. She's a larger vessel. However, I think we'll start off with a volley of 2. And by the time we're ready to take a pot shot at the Empire, Mr. Watcher will have finished preheating the additional torpedoes. A quick tip on preheating. Your mechanic seems divided in which torpedoes he would like to heat in which succession. If you begin him warming torpedo number 1, he'll load 1, and then often he will load 5 directly after that, walking all the way to the back of the ship to get that done. Something you might want to watch out for and take manual control of if you're in a pinch for time. And fire. Our Empire, we will flood tube 4. And we'll wait for the torpedoes to pass the line. And right about now. Alright, Skipper. Let's see if we get a show. Fingers crossed. About 10 seconds or so. We have 1 hit on an Empire. 1 hit on the C3. And the second hit on the C3. Fantastic. Neither ship was hit too early, so neither had a chance to maneuver. Mr. Oldorp, let's get back on those engines, please. Forward 3, and we'll cut into the convoy to clean up the wreckage with the deck gun. Mr. Watcher, looks like you'd like some help in loading more torpedoes. Mr. Hagnow, if we could get you to please blow the tanks and take us up. Thank you, Mr. Osterman. Let's have you hop on the radio to send the reports back to HQ. Now, this C3 is armed, so she may give us a little bit of a fight. And she is firing at us. Mr. Hagnow, deck gun please, with help, and skipper, let's get on the flak. We have picked up a transmission from the Empire lawn. We'll go ahead and decode that. Change direction to try to stay out of the rate of fire of the C3. The C3 is listing badly, and she appears to have stopped lobbing shells at us. She may be abandoned. The Empire, however, is still trucking along nicely, so she will be our primary target. Mr. Hagnow. High explosive for me, please. And we'll begin tagging our Empire. We've managed to set her alight. With any luck, that'll slow her down. Mr. Oldorp, let's slow down. Change direction, please. We'll go ahead and pump one into the C3 for good measure. And our Empire appears to be nosing down pretty severely. I'm going to go ahead and hold fire until we've gotten a little closer and see what we're dealing with. While we're doing that, Mr. Oldorp, I'm going to need you to recharge the compressors. Let's go ahead and use electrics for that. And the Empire Lawn did indeed transmit a message stating that the Longstone, the C3, was torpedoed. The stern of the C3 appears to be fairly airborne, just behind the Empire. And we will load armor-piercing rounds to assist her to her trip to the bottom. Just along the waterline is our goal. We'll cut in behind her. And she's light again. Our C3 appears to be foundering quite badly. However, she does not appear to be going down. We'll go ahead and adjust course to overtake her and see if we can't help her out. The Empire is fully ablaze. I expect her to be abandoned shortly. No, the Empire is gone. Our C3, which posed a bit of a hazard in the beginning, appears to be foundering, and with any luck, we will assist her in getting under. We will radio home that we have sunk the Longstone for 6,000 cool budgets. See if we can assist in making some Swiss cheese over here. And yes, I'm aware it looks like I'm pumping rounds into the superstructure of our ship. However, I assure you, the game does not appear to function in that way. Mr. Hagnow, how do things look up front? She does not look any lower. I'll reserve judgment for a moment. I believe she is sinking. There are lifeboats in the water just to the right. Skipper, what can we see? Poor devils. Making all the speed they can. And so ends the saga of the C3. And return to our initial objective of reaching Sector DH. Given the size of the C3, we have already met our requirements of 4,000 tons. However, we've got to get these kilometers eaten up for our mission to be considered a success. Mr. Osterman will have you get down for a nap, please. There is propeller noise to our north. We may be in a shipping lane running up the African coast. It's going to be worth it to keep the skipper on lookout. It's only just come sunrise, I believe, 7:20 a.m. So he should have no issues with that. Skipper, we can see some things in the water here. I meant to touch on this in the last tutorial video, and I didn't get the opportunity. If we mouse over this flotsam, we can see that they are wooden chests. This is cargo from the C3, and we can see that they all contain 18 canned fish. I'd like to bring some aboard. What I'll do is have Mr. Hagnow check stores for me and see if we have the room to take it on. And unfortunately, we do not have room for canned fish. Bit of a drag there. Still, excellent. I managed to fit something into a video that I meant to talk about in the last one. So, go me. Mr. Oldorp, let's have you get down for a nap. I like to keep my chief engineer and my navigator at roughly the same level of fatigue, as I tend to run them in tandem. Mr. Watcher, you can handle the engines for now, conserve as much diesel as we can, and we'll increase the speed 3 down to sector DH. And I'll see you shortly. We have reached our patrol sector. We'll have Mr. Osterman radio that in. And my discipline is beginning to drop. I would say that we've run out of a food type in the storeroom. Mr. Hagnow. And yes, we were down to our last potato. Really loving that little red arrow about now. Let's go ahead and give the crew some vegetables. And why don't we say sausage? That should keep them fairly happy for quite some time. Alright, now that we've made it to sector DH, I plan on heading southwest. I'm going to go ahead and dive the boat to periscope depth in the hopes to pick up any nearby propellers. I'll go ahead and slow down. Have Mr. Osterman jump on the hydrophone with some help. And I will begin hunting. I'll be sure to check back with you as soon as something comes up. And we've picked up propeller noise. This group is moving out of our sector. I don't want to chase her out of the area, as I still have quite a bit of this 2000 to eat up. What I plan to do is hope against hope that a shipping line is in this vicinity. I'll cut slightly farther south and hope to pick up further signals. I plan on servicing the boat as I will get better sight during the day. Dive, let's take us up. Klaus, you've done an excellent job navigating. And Mr. Osterman, why don't you hop on the radio and look for transmissions from HQ for me. We'll go ahead and increase speed. Mr. Oldorp, we'll have you begin recharging the compressors, please. And what I plan to do is get just behind this convoy and we'll head southwest again in the hopes to pick up a shipping route. Skipper, let's have you on the targeting site, please. And I'll check back with you in a moment. As it's coming on nighttime and my skipper's vision will be slightly impaired, I'm going to have Mr. Oldorp shut down the compressor for me. We are at 78% of our compressed air. I think that'll be sufficient for future endeavors. Skipper, let's get you down and flood the tanks, please. Mr. Osterman, you can have a quick nap as we begin to slip under the waves. We will drop to speed forward 1 and have Mr. Oldorp take a break. Our navigation is at 89%. We are close to this island chain. I think we'll move slightly more west. And Skipper, while I appreciate your zeal at finding targets visually, I'd like to use the power of our hydrophones to do that a little more efficiently. Mr. Hagnow, let's go ahead and engage the blue lighting for me, please. We will likely be underwater for some time. Now that we've submerged, Mr. Osterman, let's have you on the hydrophone. And with any luck, we will pick up more propeller noise as the night goes on. Again, we've picked up propeller noise leaving the area. I'm beginning to believe more and more that we are in a shipping route. I will again alter course to try to follow it. Navigation is becoming a bit of a concern for me. We'll have Mr. Hagnow resume his duties. And Mr. Oldorp can manage the electric engines for us and slow down our consumption. Alright, we've picked up one more contact, another tiny group of 1. I plan on simply cutting slightly to the west, raising the boat and trying to get in its way. We'll increase speed to raise the boat a little faster. And Skipper, on the targeting site, please. Mr. Hagnow, red lighting. I have no interest in conserving oxygen at the surface. With any luck, we will spot some chimney smoke along the horizon. Sun's beginning to go down. I'll change to the yellow lens. And we have chimney smoke. It is coming in our direction. I'm going to go ahead and drop us to periscope depth and simply wait and attack all sneaky like. Mr. Oldorp, let's kill that compressor so we don't choke to death. Mr. Hagnow, blue lighting, please. Mr. Osterman, let's get on that hydrophone. Mr. Watcher, can you please jump on the radio quickly and contact HQ telling them we have a target? Mr. Watcher's picked up a transmission from HQ. Let's go ahead and get that decoded. We'll give him some help and make that go faster. Mr. Osterman, you are dangerously close to fatigue. I would like you very much to have a cup of coffee. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Watcher. We have information that crucial technology has been loaded on the freighter Empire Lowlander. It must be sunk at all costs, 30 north by 19 west. Let's go ahead and take a look at our map. And we have a large convoy group, 10 to 22 ships. Our target is inside this grouping. It is my intention to sink this initial ship and carry on down the line and set up an intercept somewhere in this vicinity and allow the convoy to come to us. First things first, Skipper, do we have visual on our target yet? Yes, we do. And I believe she is a C3. Which is fantastic. More tonnage means more budget. That's a terrible sound. Please stop. Thank you. We'll go ahead and begin making our manual calculations for target. Real quick, while we're on the subject of manual targeting, a longtime friend of the channel, Red Dragon 1211, has some much more in-depth and detailed videos on using your map tools for targeting purposes. I highly recommend visiting his channel for a deep dive into it. He has several U-boat clips up and has recently started a new series, which appears to be dedicated to setting your torpedoes up for success. I've picked up a few tips from him myself. He's active on Twitch under the same name, again, Red Dragon 1211, and puts on a very enjoyable show over there. Go ahead and check that out. Show some love. Links in the description, and possibly at the top right of your screen, unless I have not figured that part out yet. Go ahead and drop in, say hi. Tell him Salted sent you. He'll love that. And, yeah. Okay, let's get set up for angle, a likely north-south line, and we will draw on out through that line. It's pretty good there. Protractor. And our ship appears to be on a bearing of 24 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and actually throw us in reverse because she is likely going to come right through here. Okay. Go ahead and lock in our 24 degrees. 2-4. Thank you, Skipper. And our ship is, I would say, a C3. There we go. We'll get a speed check on her. Nine knots. This ship is moving. 9 knots. I'm not sure I've ever seen a freighter go at that speed. Now, oddly enough, my attack periscope is not picking up her armaments. Ordinarily, they would light up yellow. I'm guessing my save has a bit of a bug going on. Her current distance is right about the 2-kilometer mark. However, we're going to wait until she's within 1 before we open up. I don't want to get through our torpedoes too quickly with such a large convoy on the way. I'm almost considering leaving her. It very much appears to me that this convoy is heading in our direction. If this was an unarmed vessel, I think I would surface and try to take her down with the deck gun. However, I don't want to risk any damage going into a large convoy, and we have already shot off 3 of our torpedoes. In all honesty, I think I'm going to leave the C3 alone. I think I'm going to carry on towards our objective and let her be for now. Kills me to leave behind a C3, but realistically, with 10 to 22 vessels in a convoy just to our south, it won't break my heart. So we'll go ahead and allow the C3 to live. We're going to drop a little deeper as to not bang our heads on her keel as we make the turn, and carry on towards our objective. Alright, it's likely we've put enough distance between us that I can safely raise the boat. We'll go to decks awash to begin with, and reevaluate. And yes, we appear to be safe to come out of the water completely. Mr. Oldorp, let's get those tanks charged. Mr. Hagnow, red lighting please. How is our food situation working out? We are down to two food types. Crew is a little cranky. Mr. Osterman, some music please. We'll go ahead and set an intercept course. My plan is to stop somewhere in this vicinity and set up for an attack run. With 22 ships, it's going to be difficult to pick out our target. We are somewhere in the 20-odd kilometer range from target. I'm going to go ahead and take us down to periscope now. Mr. Oldorp is going to need to shut off our compressor as to not choke us. And Mr. Osterman, let's get you a quick cat nap. We're going to need your services very shortly on the hydrophone. Mr. Hagnow, we're going to be underwater for some time. Blue lighting, please. Alright, our contact is incorrect, as it often is. This convoy can be anywhere in a 15-kilometer radius. My plan is to simply keep cutting through the center of it, and with any luck, we'll pick up the convoy on the hydrophone. And we have propeller noise. We have a small ship in this direction. It's interesting. Mr. Watcher is preheating torpedoes for us. Good man. And there's more propeller noise in the area. This is indeed a shipping route. Sector DH is much more target-rich than I would have given it credit for, to be honest. Alright, we have spotted a warship. Mr. Oldorp. First, I want you to switch to manual steering, cut down our noise. Mr. Hagnow, gyroscope off. Skipper, jump on the radio for me and call into HQ. Tell them we have a bit of a situation. We are going to throw ourselves in reverse and try to keep pace more or less with the convoy. Mr. Oldorp, improve depth keeping please. I don't want to be breaching the surface at any given time. This convoy almost bypassed us. We are going to back up in this manner to bring ourselves in this direction and see what we can do about that. This target is not equipped with sonar, so we'll increase speed. We almost missed him. Go ahead and pull off a 68-point turn here. Okay, I'm getting 25 degrees. That's probably pretty close. So we'll take that number and put it in our back pocket for now. This Corvette is outfitted with sonar. That's a bit of a concern. We don't want to be making too much noise. We're currently making 90 decibels. 95. And because we're making more noise, we are, of course, losing our hydrophone range. It's 1:30 a.m. Their sight shouldn't be very good. That being said, neither will mine. The skipper is not going to be much help on the periscope for the moment. Talk about your target-rich environments. Now we have to start trying to figure out who's who in the zoo. We have 3 warships that we can see, one of which that is outfitted with listening capabilities. We have 8 freighters that I can count. This is a 10 to 22 group, so we could be seeing the entirety of it at the moment. Enemy destroyer detected. We have a destroyer. I'll stop. That changes the game ever so slightly. This looks to be the majority of the convoy. Now, how to attack it? Corvettes are relatively easy to sink. Ordinarily, 1 torpedo is enough. They're fairly small ships. Destroyers. Destroyers are tough. Destroyers can take 3, sometimes 4, and I've even seen 5 torpedo shots to sink a destroyer, just according on how they hit. Destroyers are also equipped with radar, so if we chance raising the periscope, she will be able to spot us. This is going to be something. I'm not 100% sure on how to proceed with this. I feel like the correct move is to attack this freighter, possibly this freighter. 2 each, depending on their size. I'd say to be safe, we're going to go with 2 each. I'm looking for kills, not cripples. This is going to be a shoot first and ask questions later kind of a gig. This destroyer, I'm not willing to try to waste my complement of torpedoes on her. It would take almost everything I've got just to slow her down, usually. Again, sometimes you get lucky and one's enough, but it's rare. I think what I want to do is... What are we looking at for distance here? Talking 4-5 kilometer shots. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to continue on with the convoy at a max speed of 4.2 and see if I can come up with a solution. I have to see whether or not the warships will be overtaking them or not. If they are, they could throw off my shots. Mr. Osterman, you are sleepy. More coffee, please. And I'm sorry, we're going to be heading into heart attack territory for you. I need you on that hydrophone. Okay, air has become a very serious concern. I do not want to engage the vents. That destroyer will hear me. These two targets are 960 meters apart. This one is very, very close to that. My plan is to fire a shot at one at the NA-1, two at this freighter, and two at this freighter. With any luck, we can score some hits out of that. Okay, I need 960 meters of room. All right, we're going to go ahead and flood tube 2 and fire. We're going to flood tubes 1 and 3. Wait until our torpedo passes the 960 meter mark. I'm terrified that that torpedo is going to hit the wrong target. Nothing to be done. We need air and we need space. We are going to lay in a course to GTFO as soon as I get these shots off. And I've lost sight of the torpedo. I have to estimate, let's say nowish, C3. And of course, our mechanic is not close enough to getting it heated up for me. Not super pleased about that. That will give this C3 enough time to alter its course. I'm going to save the torpedo. I'm going to get gone. I'm going to get low and gone. Mr. Hagnow, I want potassium absorbers in the vents, please. We've got to make this as fast as possible. We've got to hit. We've got to hit 2 hits on an Empire. Our NA-1 shot appears to have missed. Okay, they're alarmed. Everybody's cranky. We're going to have to make some noise. Mr. Hagnow, vents. We must have missed the NA-1. 2 impacts on the Empire. With any luck, she'll go down. And with any further luck, she may have been our target all along. We have a second destroyer in the group. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 times corvettes, 2 times destroyers. And they are actively searching for us. We are making a ton of noise. You'll see here with the potassium absorbers in the ventilator, the numbers are climbing much faster than they would on their own normally. And I'm going to run that for as long as I dare. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and end the episode. Sorry to do the cliffhanger thing, but, you know, fellas gotta do other stuff than play video games. So, yeah. Consider hitting that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I, of course, can be contacted via the links down in the description. I have been Lightly Salted. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.